All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock. So I'll call the meeting to order at exactly 7 o'clock. And as always, just to quickly go over our board norms. So number one, maintain our focus. Communicate respectfully. Be present. Keep the board productive and effective. And respect the agenda. Those are our board norms. I did not see anything for correspondence.
We had a letter from Rick Hagee.
Oh, yes. Yes, we did. And I think we are going to address that as we move through anyway, in terms of regarding the appointments.
Yes, you can just give a general. I mean, I've included it with all the board documents, and they're available for the public. But you just may want to give a gist to the content of the letter.
I will do that as soon as I find it.
You want me to put it up on the screen or something, Al?
I think I got it. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, he was talking about moderator, right? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, the moderator he just wanted to check on the moderator getting more than the minimum amount, which is correct. And so the moderator write-in, David Lebo, is officially, once he gets sworn in, will continue to be the moderator. And then the idea of looking at the number of votes that people got and considering them for appointment.
And I think David was the only one that exceeded the threshold.
That is correct.
Everybody else did not. All right, great. Okay, moving on to members of the public.
So before members of the public, I forgot to put in adjustments and changes to the agenda, if I could offer one.
Sure.
Since we met a week early, we will not have under old business E, financials. They won't be ready until next week for Joe to look at.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so nothing that we're holding up as a result? No, okay. All right, so members of the public, thank you for being here. If there's anything that is not on the agenda that you want to address, now would be the time. Otherwise, if it's something that's on the agenda, please feel free to speak during that time. All right. And actually, Bill, are you still the host?
Yeah, Bill's the host. Oh, no, you are, Al.
Now I am. Great.
Switched
Okay.
as I came on.
All right, moving on to student reports. And I think I saw Ansley and yeah, all right, go ahead. Let's hear your student reports.
Hello, it's Abby Hazelton.
Hey, Abby.
I'm very excited to hopefully go back 4 days in person after the April break. And I'm also hopeful that we'll be able to have somewhat of a prom, whether or not that's normal. And also as normal of a graduation as we can make it. Anything you want to add, Ansley?
Not much. School's going really well. It's great to finally be back in the system and a schedule. And the same as Abby, I'm really hoping to get back 4 days a week. I think it would really help us academically and to make the spring get closer to normal as we can.
Thank you. Yeah, that's, I think that's the word of the day, normal. Let's get back to normal. So, yeah, excited for you folks as well. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Just wanted to give a quick update. We are still awaiting guidance from the AOE on end of year stuff. So we've been told it would be available beginning of April. So, it's, middle of April now. So any day now, I'm sure. And I just wanted to, we still have another few months left of having Abby but Abby will be graduating. And so at some point, you guys should have some official thanking her for her role, the work that she's done over the last 2 years. And I have already begun the search for a current sophomore to replace her for a 2-year term. So I will let you guys know more as I find interested parties, but just want to remind you guys that her term will end when she graduates. So thank you, Abby.
Yes, thank you very much, Abby. Appreciate it. Great. And thanks for that update, Bob. So let's jump. Actually, you know what? Before we jump into new business, I just want to again thank Rescue Inc. For everything that they've done. Everybody's now had their second rounds of vaccinations. So really appreciate that. All of that kind of stuff helps with what we were just talking about, getting back to normal after we get back from April vacation. So really appreciate that. That's absolutely huge. And then I'm not sure if Marty and Tammy are on this or anybody who may have participated over the weekend, but they had a big green up day over the weekend, and talk about community outpouring. Tammy or Marty will have a better number on it, but there had to have been at least 40 plus members of the community there to help get our baseball and softball fields up to snuff. And yeah, just an amazing job. And I don't know if Mitch Plimpton is out there, but definitely a special shout out to Mitch. He donated a lot of high quality, I'm going to say the wrong word, it's not sand, like infield material. Yeah, so it was just amazing. And again, just amazing outpouring of the community. So appreciate anybody who was a part of that. All right, with that, let's now jump into new business. Long-term plan. Am I looking at the wrong agenda, Bill? I thought we were going to do.
You're probably looking at the old agenda.
I think I am looking at the.
But after we went over that agenda, we moved up the appointment process to number 1.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, I've got the wrong one.
It's okay. So just go look down at your number 2, and A should be the West River District Treasurer, Moderator, and Clerk, and want to update the board about how to go through that process. And then B will be the 1-year appointment.
Okay, great. Yeah, so for the Treasurer and Clerk, because Moderator, I think we're fine. David's in place. He got the requisite number of votes, so he will just get sworn in and continue on as Moderator. But for the Treasurer and Clerk, what we'll have to do is, well, they'll stay in place until May 17th when we reorg, and then we will appoint a new Clerk and Treasurer at that point. So that's that. And then on the next, we have the 1-year appointment of 3-year at-large, remaining 2 years on ballot in 2022. So I do believe we did receive, I know we received some correspondence from Drew. I'm just not sure if there's anybody else here that was interested in that position. If not, I will just turn it over to Drew to talk about his interest in the position. Is there anybody else? I'm not seeing any hands. So Drew, I'm going to turn it over to you just to talk about why you want to rejoin the board and anything else you might want to say.
Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
All right. So thanks for the opportunity to speak for a minute. I think we're at a point in kind of our Valley's kind of educational history where we have some really important decisions that are going to affect the next generation of students and citizens. Coming out of the end of this pandemic, I think there's many lessons that have been learned. We have some significant opportunities to grow and kind of create an educational environment for our kids that will really craft what our communities look like over the next generation. So I think I can offer some input into those discussions, and would be glad to be back as part of the group making those decisions. So I think most people probably on the board know me well enough to know kind of where I stand on stuff, but I think it's time to move our district forward and come up with a better education structure for our kids.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. All right, so if everybody else is reading the correct agenda, the next step would be for us to make a motion, and I think the motion that is here is probably the best. That, hang on, is there a motion there? If the members elected at large.
Basically, you're going to need
Yeah.
someone to make a motion to make the one-year appointment, kind of almost taking it from the agenda.
Right. Dana, did you want to make that motion?
I nominate Drew Hazelton for a one-year appointment of the at-large position on the West River Education District Board.
I'll
Is that
second.
good?
Lindsay's got a second? All right, discussion. Motion
I
makers?
have none.
What's that?
I have none.
You have none? Lindsay?
I just think it would be nice to have Drew's point of view. I think he has a unique perspective. I look forward to working with him.
Same here.
Great, thanks. Anybody else? All right, if everybody who is a board member could turn on their video briefly, and if we could give all those in favor say aye. Thumbs up. Who am I missing?
You should have 6. I see 6 of you.
6? Okay, is that all we have to?
Yeah, you do not have Mike, you do not have Keegan, you do not have Emily.
Emily.
You have an empty spot, and you don't have Howard.
Well, you got
Okay.
7 now.
Yeah. All right, motion carries. Unanimous. Welcome, Drew. So obviously for this meeting, you can, you're a full member, but cannot vote until we get you sworn in. But everything else, you're in. All right, great. Moving on now to long-term planning. So, Dana, is that a new hand? Old hand? Okay, got it.
Old hand,
Old hand?
Old hand. Old hand, old man.
Great. So first order is to establish a long-term planning subcommittee. Well, so first of all, who would be interested in being on the subcommittee? Thinking that, we should have somewhere between 3 and 5 optimally on that subcommittee. I think 3 is perfectly fine, but we'll see. I just want to see what everybody else thinks on that. And again, who would be interested in being on that?
Al, could you maybe talk a little bit about what you and the officers talked about for an idea of creating the committee? Why you would create a committee, what they would do, their role of bringing recommendations back to the full board, that kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely. So very true. So between, not now, between when we were established, May or June to October, the long-term planning committee would have separate meetings, and again, as Bill said, feed information into the full board. You would develop your own meeting schedule, and pretty much everything that's listed here. And then we would also have additional West River Education Board meetings, and you would work in close cooperation with the ComCom, surveys to the public, coffee chats, Zoom forums, really just getting out to the public to see, what do they want, what are they looking for our long-term planning. So yeah, a lot of work between now and October before we do our next budget. But as Drew said, it's a lot of very valuable and important work, transformational, once in a generation, if not more, work that we can be doing for our students in our community. So very exciting. Dana, that's a fresh hand.
Al, you better put me on that committee. I know I'm part of the ComCom. I don't think Keegan's running again, so we're going to probably lose her. So you're going to need somebody who serves on both.
All right. Thanks, Dana. Now, and again, this doesn't have to be this way, but it would be great to have representation from all towns. Not going to put words in anybody's mouth, but it'd be great to have somebody from Newfane, somebody from Brookline, somebody from Townsend.
So you're saying I should probably be on the committee, Al?
That would be great, Leanne.
Only Brookline person?
That would be great.
I would consider doing that committee, but also being on ComCom and with all my other things going on, I'm not sure about my time commitment. So I guess I feel like if the ComCom still has enough people, then I would happily swap committees. But I don't know if we may not know that yet. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
We'll be pretty active during that same time period,
Yep, understood. Like Dana said, though, I love the overlap between the two, and but I understand time commitments. So, all right, we've got Dana and Leanne so far that are interested. I see Drew's hand.
Yep, put me in.
Drew, all right. Very good. Anybody else? Townsend, Jamaica.
I think you got a good beginning core as long as you don't go beyond 5.
Yep.
And if you can allow those 3 people and possibly Lindsay, who's shown some interest to attend, I think that would be some good energy to maybe get going. Then you can have reorganization, and then after reorganization, if maybe one of the elected officers wants to join, might be a group of 5. You're below a quorum. You've got good spread representation. So I think those 3 that committed, and then Lindsay's interest, I think is a really good beginning.
All right. So Lindsay, we can put you in as a maybe. All right, perfect. Yep, love the idea of reorg and then adding an officer. Okay, yep. Perfect.
Al, just to jump in.
Yes, sir.
If you could ask one of the 4 of them just to be responsible to contact the other 3 and meet before your next meeting, May 17th.
Yes, absolutely. I was getting there. So
Sorry, man.
no, that's okay. Who would like to be that responsible party? I'm just going to name somebody.
Yeah, I'll schedule the first meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Drew.
But I'm going to make Bill work for it because I still don't have my WCSU email set up yet. So he's going to have to do some work.
All right.
As you see in number 6, the principals and myself are there to support. So that would be a perfect opportunity for me to provide support.
Excellent.
Financial analysis and modeling and setting up emails.
Yeah, I still need to work my way about leading in Zoom meetings and stuff, so I'm working on it.
We'll get there. All right, I think that covers it. So Drew, you'll set up the first meeting. Let's see. Yeah, and then from there, Bill, would you recommend, obviously, after reorg, we'll go ahead and set up the additional meetings, the additional West River meetings?
Yeah, I would say that let's let the committee decide how they want to organize themselves, and do they want other meetings? Do they want to set meetings for the board? I think we're going to want to support that committee, but allow them the freedom to lead.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so are we thinking that the West River Education Board would have additional meetings as well as the long-term planning committee have an extra meeting? So potentially 3 meetings a month.
I think it's important up front to realize that this exploration has to be done by October. And during that time, you've got to look at some structure, some conversations with the community, because you've got to get it ready in time for budgeting. And so I think we have to be upfront that there may be a need for the full board to meet more than once a month. And I think that was the point of putting that on the agenda. And obviously the committee themselves will decide their own meeting schedule. But I just didn't want people to be surprised if in May 17th, the long-term planning committee comes back and goes, all right, we need an additional meeting a month. So let's schedule them, June, July, August, September, October. I think that was the thinking after talking with the officers.
Gotcha. Great. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just wanting to point out that only 265 voters voted for this budget vote, and I was a little like, like that ain't good. We're a bigger district. We should have had more voters. So I'm kind of wondering if we didn't really get the vote out there, the word out there that the vote was going on. So I want to do a better job at that, getting this long-term planning out there so nobody's surprised by it. Because I did have people come to me saying, hey, I didn't know there was a vote on. What happened? So we need to maybe look at, see if we're actually getting the word out there or not. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a pretty low turnout. And certainly there's always more that we can do to get folks out. Who knows, some of it could have been COVID related, Australian ballot. But yeah, great point. Get the word out for sure. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the format that we did last time around, Bill, where we had 2 and then the additional committee meeting. So that makes sense. And who knows, maybe it's West River board meeting 1 week, followed by the long-term planning, and then a week later or 2 weeks later, the board meeting again. We probably need some kind of cadence like that where there's do the board work, go back to long-term planning, come back to the board with whatever new information you have. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that could be quite likely. But again, I want to make sure that the volunteers, the 4 people, get to decide what works for them and how they would like to see this process play out, and then come back and recommend that to the board. Number 1, though, I think is critically important, just that the board makes a commitment to the charge of this committee. There's an example charge in the agenda. It doesn't have to be that, but I think it's important to have that there so that, the board is making a commitment to having a process and a product by a time period, and that it's in the minutes, and we can go back in July and go, what is it that we committed to? And so I would just encourage the board to read number 1 and see if that hits what they would expect of the process and of themselves as a board member, or if they would like to offer a change. But then I would recommend that somebody make a motion to give a charge to the long-term planning committee.
Would anybody like to make that motion? Is there anything like to change in this example?
I think that example captures it pretty well. I'd move to adopt that as the charge for the long-term planning committee.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Dana. I'll
Thanks,
second
Dan. All right. Discussion?
I think it speaks for itself.
Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Unanimous again. All right. Well, thank you. All right, Bill, did I miss anything within the scope of the long-term planning?
No, you did great. You talked about the necessary cooperation with the communications committee, and Dana spoke to that as well as Lindsay. And you talked, there's just a suggestion in there that, there might be a need for a retreat this summer, maybe a full day workshop if the long-term planning committee deems that that is necessary. So just wanted to put that out there to make sure that it's not a surprise if that is something that is a valuable necessity from the long-term planning committee. And then there's just some examples for the communications committee to make sure, going back to what Dana talked about making sure that the community is informed and involved. And then lastly, that, the role of the principals and myself in my office, we're there to provide, support of whatever the long-term planning committee and the board itself deems necessary for us to support them to accomplish their task. So I think you have gone through all 6 bullet points, sir. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, speaking of the retreat, so yeah, that might be a little tricky with, but yeah, I'm sure we could figure something out. Would we want to establish an amount, any kind of spending for the long-term planning in that regard?
I think the long-term planning committee is going to let the board know what they need for resources. And then I have a guess that it'll be my responsibility to find it within the budget, which, if it's $8,000 to make sure that the community is aware, we need to spend $8,000, if it's 2,000, if it's 6,000. As Drew mentioned, and you mentioned, this is an opportunity for some generational investments in the Valley. And we're going to need to make some investments to make sure that people know about the discussions and to get feedback from our neighbors and colleagues. So I kind of expect that the long-term planning committee will decide what they need, and then it will be my responsibility to go and find those resources.
All right. Sounds good. Let's see, moving on to continuous improvement plans.
So at this stage, it's probably a good idea just to call on each principal, let them have about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, give you an update on the continuous improvement plan. But overall, a continuous improvement plan is required by the Vermont Agency of Education. They are 3 years and they are truly continuous. We do use the WCSU continuous improvement plan on the umbrella level. And then at each building, there's a continuous improvement plan. And they are really essentially our internal strategic plans for operating our schools for the benefit of the West River community. So principals have worked extremely hard and gone through a variety of processes to get here. And I think they would welcome the opportunity to explain where they're coming from in each individual building.
All right, sounds great. All right, so let's go Pam, Scotty, Craig, and Bob, and Joanna.
Oh, well, good evening. Thank you. I apologize for my video being off, but we know how internet is on the top of this mountain in Wardsboro. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about the continuous improvement plan. It was done a little bit differently given this COVID world. But as we thought about it and worked through it with the staff, we wanted to really focus on this multi-grade, multi-age classrooms that we have. So we have a literacy goal in there, which uses the strategies from Columbia University and Teachers College. So we have put reading and writing workshop in to work on that so students can move at their own pace in literacy. And we also have for Safe and Healthy Schools starting to look at personalized learning plans again, so that students can work through interests and work at their own pace in these small classes that are multi-age and multi-grade. We've also added a continuation of the positive behavior support initiatives that have been done over the years. So a lot of it will be very individualized and will require some professional development as we work through the 3 years.
Thanks, Pam. Scotty?
Thank you, Pam. I just want to say that when it came time to work on our CIP for this year, we really hadn't attacked our CIP last year the way we had wanted to, for obvious reasons. You know, we had other things that we were focused on. So it was pretty easy to look at our goals and just kind of move them over. For our first academic proficiency goal, we're really going to be focused on using problem-solving strategies, a variety of them, hearing other children talk about their math thinking, and being able to learn from one another, while also actually emoting what kids are thinking when they're solving a problem. On the ELA side, we're really interested in the use of evidence from text in writing, and that is something that that the SBAC tests pretty heavily for, and we're very interested in making sure children understand that opinions come from sources and from facts. On our number 2 goal is the multi-tiered system of support. In our district, we have a real head start. We've got lots of the different functionalities of a multi-tiered system of support. Over the next 3 years, I hope to bring them together and to create a literally like a diagram that would help a parent to understand how supports work in public schools in the West River. These kind of supports are the most important thing, or I shouldn't say the most, but it's one of the most important things to people like me, is knowing that that we have things in place that we can pull from when we see a student or a family struggling. So we're going to be focused on workshop models, which means that teachers during their universal instruction will have time, because of the model in play in their class, they'll have time to do some tier 2 interventions during the ELA and math universal instruction. We're going to continue with our skills blocks to provide intervention and using Ms. McCusick's academic support team. At my school right now, we have Ms. Wood, who's an incredible asset. Just in terms of explaining where kids are at and what's going to happen next. So we're really excited about that. Our third goal is positive school culture. And we're going to continue on with our PBIS planning. But we also know that some of our documentation needs to be updated given the work that we've been doing. And that's going to be one of the real goals for me, is getting our our community handbook a little bit more current. And we're going to be working on that at the end of this school year when we have some time after the students. Finally, I put in a 4th goal, and actually I wonder if Bob did. I don't know if we needed to this year, but the equity goal was a mandate 2 years ago. And I figured that the data we haven't collected any data since then, so it probably is still there. And that was a goal around the fact that we are not, we're seeing that children in poverty are not moving as quickly as children who aren't in poverty, for the most part. And so we have a long list of ideas. I think we have 15 different things that we're doing in order to try to, even the slate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scotty. Greg?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, we all sort of have similar goals. My first goal is definitely an academic goal, and This year, which is different from the past, we had done an ELA goal and a math goal. This year for academic performance, we actually added science into that. So we're going to be looking at our NGSS, and we're going to follow that up with goals 2 and 3, which are pretty similar, but they're going to sort of attack 2 different areas. This year, we implemented our PBIS system from looking at our school culture and our surveys that we've done the past few years. We've unified our system of supports. And so we're just looking at a positive school culture. And then the second part of that is we're looking to improve our MTSS, which is our multi-tiered system of support. And that's just going to look at the school as a whole, how we can support kids emotionally, socially, academically, and really sort of bolster things up with our academic support team, our EST teams, and really just kind of bring everything together, do some really nice professional development and some deeper work into unifying academics, social, and emotional, and then improve our school culture.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it. And go ahead, Bob.
All right, thanks. Just a quick comment too, just so you guys on the board understand how these goals end up being in place. It starts with, as one of these guys pointed out, a lot of surveying of the community, parents, staff, kids, in a lot of areas. It's looking at all the data we have, and it's trying to find out ways to improve outcomes for kids. So at Leland and Gray, that looks like my teacher leadership team analyzing all of that information, brainstorming, and then coming up with ideas in a draft, and then running that by the full staff to have approval there as well. So I think that process is very similar and happens in all the buildings, just so you guys have a sense of how it sort of gets to your place. It's sort of, grassroots on up right to you guys. So we also do have 3 goals, and I will say that one of the things that I believe very strongly in, that we stay pretty focused, and especially coming out of the pandemic and thinking about what recovery looks like, I think being focused is going to be really important for all of us. Our first goal is in academic proficiency, and we are going to spend some time continuing to do the work that our PBGR work that we started several years ago, and getting our curriculum aligned with that, developing scales for all the learning objectives, and so on and so forth. And I think that's work that has really revolutionized what we're doing from a curriculum standpoint, but also from a grading standpoint, and it's really changed throughout the last year and a half, and it's been pretty cool to see that transition. Part of that also is to have additional training that will be differentiated for staff on instructional pedagogy and assessment development, and depending on where they are in the process, they'll get different trainings. We've done that typically in the past through University of Pennsylvania Grad School of Ed. So we hope to continue that work. Our second goal is the one that I would probably say, and these guys all reference the MTSS work as well, that for me, from my standpoint, is that becomes a little bit more of a backseat for now, to try to deal with the academic stuff first. But that, these guys explain, it's really about creating and ensuring the systems are in place for staff, so they get professional learning, so they can be better situated to assist instructionally and behaviorally with kids. Our third goal, as Scotty referenced, we do have an equity goal, and we kept that pretty much the same because these are multi-year plans. So what we did in that plan is really focused on the safe and healthy schools domain, which includes for us looking at our advisory system. It's the implementing the senior survival program and our college and career placement program, and increasing choice and voice in the classrooms, trauma-informed practices, all those kinds of areas. And so the idea is that if we can change school culture through these means, it can help improve outcomes for all students, those in poverty and those not. So after school programming, things like that we are exploring. And so those are the 3 areas that the Leland and Gray plan. And you can see that in your document, starting on page 15 is where the goals actually start.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Did Johanna have anything additional, or was that all covered in yours, Bob?
I'm sure she'd like to add to that.
All right.
He's
Let's
the
hear it.
chair of the advisory committee, so.
Yeah, I don't really have anything specific to add. Bob covered what the 3 goals are. And yeah, just looking forward to continuing our work on all of those: school culture and climate, academics, and yeah, we're ready to keep going.
Post-pandemic. Thank you. All right. Did anybody have any questions for any of our principals? Comments? No. All right. So, Bill, I assume our action is to approve these continuous improvement plans?
Exactly. We need to approve. I would do them. You can do them all in a group. You just got to name. I have to have it in the minutes that you approved the Newbrook continuous improvement plan, the Jamaica, all down the line. So I need all 4 names, and all you're doing is approving the continuous improvement plan.
Okay. Who would like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll make the motion to approve the Leland and Gray continuous improvement plan, the Newbrook continuous improvement plan, Jamaica continuous improvement plan, and the Townsend Elementary continuous improvement plan.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dana. Any discussion?
None here.
Not here. I'm good.
Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Thumbs up. All right, thank you. Motion carries, unanimous. Moving on to old business. Approved minutes of March 15th, 2021 meeting. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of March 15, 2021.
Kendall
Thank you.
second.
Ken second. All right. Any discussion?
Not here.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Motion carries again. Wow, we're moving right along. All right, let's see, principal reports. Do we want to do a round robin again? All right, we'll keep the same order. So let's go with Pam, Scotty, Craig, Bob, Joanne.
Sure, let me just pull it up. You do have it in front of you. I'll just highlight a few things on it in case you have any questions. We did have parent-teacher conferences in mid-March. The percentages of conferences held is there for you. I also wanted to highlight that our 3rd and 4th graders participated in Starbase and launched, I think it was last week or the week before, their rockets, which was awesome. We did have our educational consultant in for 2 days. I put a picture of the post there and the description of it. It was great. Kids had a great time. Hopefully teachers learned a lot as well. I look forward to actually going into classrooms and seeing the strategies at work. And an exciting announcement, Casella Waste Systems has selected one of our 3rd grade students' piece of artwork for their annual calendar. So yay for Piper. We had a little presentation remotely on our Monday meeting last week. So she will receive her artwork framed and a gift card, which is awesome. She was excited. It was very surprising. We didn't tell her at all. So be looking for her artwork in the Casella annual calendar for next year. Very exciting. We also had one other student enter and we gave her an honorable mention. So Danica West received an honorable mention from Jamaica Village School for her entry as well. We had a number of donations. West River Valley Thrives donated gift cards and other masks and things like that to our families. The library has donated craft bags for our kiddos along with books. They'll be taking those home on Friday to keep them busy over spring break. And one thing that I'm very excited about, and hopefully I can pull it off before the end of the school year, but if not, it'll be next school year. I've been working with Tammy Clausen at the high school, borrowing one of her heart rate monitors to use for some behavioral work with a student, and it's been awesome. So we decided to use some of our ESSER money, and we've purchased heart rate monitors for all of our children at Jamaica Village School next year. So not only will they help us with physical fitness, but it's also visual and by color, so the kids can monitor their own heart rate to help monitor behavior as well. So I put a picture in there. We have some tech work to do with our staff. So as soon as Marvin and I can catch up, we'll start setting those all up, but we have been using one as a pilot, and Tammy will also help with training our teachers to use them. I think we're welcoming, for the most part, all of our children back. We have perhaps one that will be going to home study, but all of them will be welcomed back. We have one more family that we need to meet with, and hopefully we will see additional children. I know we have a kindergartner coming to school for the very first day, April 26th. So didn't think it would be September and April, but it will be a kindergartner's very first day. Came to visit us last week, and he's excited and his family's excited. So lots happening. We have our SBAC testing schedule ready to go for Jamaica Village School, and you see the current enrollment on the report as well. That's what I've got.
Wow, thanks, Pam. Chock full of good news.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Scotty.
Thank you. So I guess I just want to highlight a few things. I first want to say that we've got our first session of our laughter program going, thanks to Miss Jenny Ather, who is a behaviorist para at our school. She's also running the program, and one of the really cool highlights is that we're doing a Girls on the Run program at our school, and it's very heavily actually a little bit too many kids as far as they're concerned, but it seems to be not the kids, but the Girls on the Run folks. And we're really excited about it. You can see that the kids are very, very amped on Tuesdays to get out there and run together. And we've even got some home study kids that are coming in for it. I have been serving on a committee on the ESSER committee, and we've been getting together once a week to try to brainstorm ways that we could spend federal dollars that would help our students and our families here locally. And I'm really proud of the work we're doing. I think that we're really focused on the things that really need to happen right away coming out of COVID. And I'm really proud to be on that team. I was asked to do some hiring a couple days ago, and I worked with Jen McCusick and a team to meet with 3 applicants for two of our academic support teacher positions. We've been seeing some really high quality applicants in spite of the pandemic, and I was really proud to be part of that. We're jumping to 5 days after spring break, and I'm super excited about that. I tell you, I think that we're like regionally, we'll be a step ahead of some of the other schools, and I feel like the reason why we've been successful is because the entire community is on board. Being safe and trying to do what's best for the kids. I really appreciate the board's action on that. Today, a local trainer named Jen Stanchfield came to our meeting via Zoom, our faculty meeting, and did some group building with us and helped us to see kind of like pre-COVID, COVID, and then after COVID, kind of how things have changed for us as educators. It was really interesting. And then the whole end of the meeting was all about us giving very specific feedback to one another, which became very positive, and it was honestly quite lovely. It was a very nice meeting. Finally, just a quick shout out to Ms. Van Pamlin. We are looking for ways to broaden our students' exposure to people outside of with their norm. And we thought about ways of doing that. And one of the ideas that we've come up with is to have, and I don't want to call them pen pals because it's way beyond that, but have actually Zoom classrooms with classrooms maybe around the world. And Ms. Van Pamela, as soon as she heard it, she got it going with a woman who teaches in France, 11-year-olds, and they've been regularly in communication now, back and forth. That's going to be a great model, because I want to eventually set it up so there's a ladder all the way through our school where kids would be meeting French kids in 5th grade, and maybe kids from South Dakota in 4th grade, and maybe kids from Arizona in 3rd grade. And I'm very excited about this work. And of course, it's wonderful to work around people who, as soon as they hear it, they implement it, which is Ms. Van Pamela in the nutshell. Thank you, folks, very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Wow. Thanks, Scotty. Modern day pen pals. Love it. All right, Craig.
Scotty, that's the first I've heard of that, and congratulations to Ms. Van Pamela and your school for that. That's super cool. What an innovative way to get out there and make connections. So right on, man. Yeah, we are going to be going back to 5 days of school, and that's exciting for us. We started out with about 10% out using the homeschool option. We were down to about 4%. I am the homeschool liaison, which I'm really excited to do because it gives me another opportunity to teach, which I've never really let go of. I always welcome any opportunities to do any teaching or subbing. So it's another extension for me as a principal, but kind of keep it in the education realm. So I've been meeting with them and talking with them just to make sure that they're set up and comfortable and ready for what the next 6 to 8 weeks will offer after the break. Coming back into the school year for the 4 days a week in general, we really prepped our school around recovery and regulation and really just like emotional health. And so one of the things that we've been doing is really just trying to support all of our students. And so this past week, we put up the first of 2 Lego walls in our school. And we also have a really successful snack shelf as soon as you enter our school for anyone to grab any kind of food. So we have, peanut butter, we have meals, we have crackers, cookies. I personally go for the Cliff Bars. Al, I know you can understand that as a runner. You just wanted something kind of good and small on the go. But it's been real successful. Everybody uses it, which is exactly the intent. So no kid is hungry, and that starts with a universal breakfast in the morning, and then lunch is being offered to everybody. So there's a snack in between, and it's just something we're really proud of. So those are the 2 things that we have going on. Tomorrow is our second celebration for PBIS. So we're actually getting the Vermont Museum of Wildlife in. So we're doing a Vermont Wildlife. We'll be outside in pods. Our first celebration was I was going around from class to class doing a directed drawing, which again was another nice opportunity for me to go in and educate kids and also work around art. But tomorrow we're getting Mr. Mike Clow in to see a variety of live animals and sort of like check out the wildlife that's around us in Vermont and to make a connection. And this is really nice because this came in from our PAC, that's our Principal Advisory Council from a few years ago, where we really wanted to bring back community days and have opportunities for kids to learn together, but also learn about what's around us in Vermont and Townsend and this district. So it's an opportunity for us to celebrate of everything that we've done, being safe, responsible, respectful, and kind. And it seems like we're hitting the stride right when we should. And we're peaking and we're getting everything together. So a lot of exciting things happening at Townsend.
Great. Thanks, Craig. Bob.
Yeah. So let me find my document here. So as you guys know, as you've probably heard, is that the state guidance has been updated now for older students as well to be 3 feet. So we are planning, as our student members mentioned earlier, 4 day a week after break. So I want to just walk you through a little bit of what's involved with that, so you guys all have a pretty good understanding. First of all, this is our 4th opening or reopening of school that we've planned for, because we planned for live in the fall initially, and then had to pivot to planning for remote, and then we had to plan to bring people back in February, and then plan for bring people back for more days in April. So the flexibility that your staff has shown in being able to adjust to these, quick little story. I shared out today in my staff meeting the basic gist of like what we're thinking about and how we're going to go. And I asked if there were any questions, and people were like, nope. And I think that's a tribute to the fact that they are just ready to roll, and they want kids more, and they are super flexible and have been since last March. So a huge shout out to the staff. You guys should be really proud of them. So it is my hope and my recommendation to you guys that we open for all students, 7 through 12, sixth graders are already here 4 days a week, to 4 days. I believe we simultaneously will keep the remote academy available and open to the rest of the school year. Unlike the elementary schools, we have a different model. And we have actual teachers who are designated to do that work. And so it's really pretty challenging to shut that down because sometimes the curriculum don't exactly align with the courses that they'd be taking if they were here in person. Particularly at the high school level where you're dealing with credits and courses and transcripts, it's just really complex. So just to allow those families to stay remote, I think is really the best solution. Because of that, and because some of the teachers who are doing the remote academy also teach live classes, and because we've used Wednesdays for having contact for kids who are in quarantine, and because we have it necessary for special education services, the Wednesdays really need to continue to be remote. So we don't feel like we can go to 5 days. So, but I still think from 2 to 4 is a pretty significant increase, and we feel pretty good about that. And before I go on, I just didn't know if there's any questions about that piece of it or any of the details about the reopening people had before I moved on.
Do you need a motion from us, Bob, to do that? Any action? Bill?
Bill's saying no.
No,
Okay.
I think we're good to go. But
Okay.
we just wanted Bob, and I have been talking for a couple of weeks, and he wanted to make sure that he just laid it all out because he knows there'll be a lot of questions, and he just wanted you guys to understand why they're going to 4, which they're very excited about.
Yeah, anytime we're a little different than what's happening in the rest of the district, we just want to be clear so you guys are clear. So if you have questions, you know how to answer them or how to tell them to call me or whatever. But all right, well, if there's no other questions, a couple of things I just want to highlight. Some of you guys may know this, but we did lose a member of our community this past week. Jeff Ivanek, who was an evening custodian for over 12 years, died of cancer last week. And so it's been kind of a tough time for us at the school. He's someone that we saw every day and he was just a really big presence. And so we've had some, moments of silence for the students for the 2 different cohorts. And then this afternoon after our staff meeting, we did a little gathering out in the front, and Bill joined us for that as well, just to kind of say farewell. His family didn't do a formal service or anything, so we want to do something. And if you know Jeff, his wife also works for us as an evening custodian as well. So anyways, just wanted you guys to know about that if you didn't already know. It is hiring season, so we are going through the process of posting open jobs and filling them. A couple of things about that. We have got approval to use some of the ESSER funds. I want to tell you about a couple of the quick things that were mentioned. I know Scotty mentioned that he's on the ESSER committee. I am on that with him, and we will be overseeing distribution of, make recommendations on distribution of another bucket of money, but within the West River District, the principals got together and figured out how to spend. So one of the things that we are doing is creating a recovery case manager, a position that will start actually next month and go until February. And the idea there is to collect at the high school level all students who have yet to complete courses because of the pandemic from last spring through to this spring, and help them develop a plan for how to complete those. And we'll have opportunities during the school day in the fall, as well as the summer recovery camp, we're calling it, this summer for the 2 weeks after school gets out. And that money is all being paid for out of ESSER funds. So that person will help oversee it. And then we're also sort of attacking the gaps, the gaps in skills, knowledge, and also study skills and organizational skills, things like that, by having all incoming rising freshmen be put through a program we're calling an academic resource center, which would be similar to like a special ed resource center, but really focused on some skill work around, like I said, executive functioning stuff, and then move into helping them close those gaps from middle school into the high school classes in the fall, so and in the spring. So those are two things that we're pretty excited about, and we're looking for someone for the second one now. We've already hired the first person who starts in a month. So yeah, that's how we're thinking about things. And the last thing I'll leave you with, we are still, because of the 3-foot thing, dealing with the challenges of some of our rooms. Alliance Mechanical continues to come. They're coming again tomorrow to get some more readings after some improvements they made to some exhaust fans to see if we can get the numbers up. And so that we can put the full amount of kids in classrooms. So, right now when you have half of the student body in a room, the numbers have typically been totally fine for that number of kids. But as we bring back the full student body in classrooms, sometimes, the increased occupancy of those rooms means that we have to have even more airflow. So we're double checking, triple checking those to make sure those spaces are suitable for the number of kids that they'll be going into. So that's where we're at. And, we're very excited to have the kids back more. And we'll continue to look down the road at the spring and see what else comes our way as far as the end of the year stuff. So.
Thanks, Bob. One thing, Bob, any update on adult learning?
Right. So the proposal that we had talked about initially when we had built the budget last year was about having a sort of Vermont adult learning kind of program in our school. After we went through the process of looking at the ESSER money and what was involved with it, and thinking about how to best meet the needs of the largest number of kids possible, with a small amount of dollars, we moved that funding into those two things I just described. We felt that was a better, more broader application of the funds to impact more kids. So, it does leave us with that challenge of not focusing on bringing more kids back into the building, but we're really thinking that it was a better approach to kind of go after a broader audience. And of course, we'll continue to try to get those kids to rejoin us. But I still think that's a good idea. But I don't have enough money to do all of it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But thanks for asking about that, because I forgot to mention we weren't going to do that.
Got it. Thanks, Bob.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course.
Hey, Bob, how's sports?
Well, I don't want to talk about the winter because it just makes me sad.
We're done. Baseball, softball.
Yeah. So the spring is a much different animal. We're outdoors, and we have track and field, we have baseball, we have softball, and we have ultimate disc, all starting up. And so, we don't have in most cases JV teams at some of those levels, are mostly just varsity level. But those numbers are definitely down this year in sports participation. So, but we're pretty excited to have them start, and the kids are outside. As Al mentioned, the fields look great because of the crew that was up there the other day. And yeah, so we're hoping to get as many kids outside participating in every way possible. And unlike the winter where you couldn't have spectators, you can have spectators at these events.
Oh, that'd be nice.
whatever the cap is that the state has at that moment. So if it's 150 right now, it could, as you've seen, could go up. So yeah, we can allow spectators to come in and watch those events as well. So that will be super cool for folks to be able to come out and enjoy the spring and watch some sports.
Well, I was kind of wondering if we had an audio-visual class, they could film it for BCTV and I could watch the games.
Yeah, I don't know that we have enough of that right now. I think with basketball, I hope people enjoyed the system that we had with the camera in the gym, and being able to watch those games was a pretty cool system. And I'll say this, that as a parent of a kid that played basketball this year, and as a principal, like there was a couple of regional schools, I'm not going to name names, who had a system that you had to actually buy a subscription to watch the game.
Yeah.
So ours was not like that. It was streaming on YouTube and free to everybody. So that was a much different animal. So Marty did a great job with that, our IT department and our custodial staff doing the installation. It was a really cool system. And we'll continue to use that for other events in the future as well. So, even when we can have live spectators again, it will still be cool to stream it.
Thank you.
All right, Johanna?
Thanks, Al. You're enjoying putting me on the spot tonight.
Yes.
I don't have a ton to add to what Bob said about where we're at currently. I'll just throw in there that we are in the middle of having some alumni presentations during our advisory this week, which has been really cool. Terry Davison-Berger has a huge alumni connection that she's started creating, and as soon as she reached out, post students are all over it. They're really looking forward to speaking to our students and doing anything they can to help our students feel motivated and engaged in their learning. So we had our first one today, and we have 2 more this week, and then we're looking for, we're gonna be doing more sort of career focused stuff with high school kids, you know, in the upcoming weeks. So that's been very cool. And also we are planning a spirit week, which will be very fun. So we've got we've got a lot of things on the hopper, as they say. But yeah, we're looking forward to having everybody come back in and just, you know, staying motivated and focused and finish the year strong.
All right. Thanks, Johanna. I thought you didn't have anything to add.
I mean,
That's plenty.
I can always find something.
Well done. Well done. So, apologies. I have lost video. I'm not sure what's happening at the Clausen household, but no, I guess, did anybody have any questions for the other principals? No? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to Bill's report.
So you guys have a copy of the cabinet report, but just a couple highlights. S13 is the vehicle for the weighting study. The House Education Committee has adopted that as the path forward. That is going to be a study that will be recommending how to implement the weights in January 2022. That is being discussed this week in the House. And so you may receive an email from me on Wednesday or Thursday saying, here are the people to reach out to if it makes sense. The WCSU is part of a coalition, so we get alerted when things are happening, as well as the Vermont Superintendents Association alerts me as well. So just a heads up on that. And then all the principals kind of alluded to our recovery planning, and I just want to commend the 4 of them, 5 of them. They did a really nice job in taking the allocation of money and really thinking about what is the best way to benefit our students in the immediate and long term, and being really thoughtful. I think Bob kind of talked a little bit about the thought process and how important it is for us to make sure that we are preparing our kids to come back to a typical school environment. That's why I think it's so important for us to be in 4 and 5 days a week for those last 8 weeks. So very excited to provide that typical school environment for our students at the end of the year, and then getting prepared for the beginning of the year. And then we are, preparing for our long-term planning. Act 173 is coming in FY23, and that will change the funding rules for students that need support services. So the special education budget will be going away. It will now be at the WCSU level. It'll be the educational support services budget. And it will include not only special education services, but things like academic support services. And so on April 28th is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is the WCSU spring meeting. And we'll talk a little bit about that then. And then on June 16th will be the reorganization for WCSU. We pushed that back so that West River could reorganize on May 17th, and there could be an election in River Valleys on May 22nd, so that you guys could reorganize as a WCSU on June 16th, knowing everybody who was elected or appointed. I would just like to close with saying I am really fortunate to work with some high caliber principals. Many of them have taken on extra roles. Both Bob and Scotty are on the recovery team. Craig was explaining the work that he is doing mentoring and taking care of hiring all these positions that they are looking for to support our students. Johanna has been a force in getting the High Five course built in the back. And Pam has been instrumental in our supervision, evaluation, and instructional coaching across the district. They really work as a team. And I think they're a really good example of when we all work together, what we can accomplish. So it's been a real pleasure these past 15 months in an incredibly challenging time to see the just the creativity and the teamwork and the just the moving forward that the principals that you have all hired leading your communities. It's been a joy to watch and participate in. So I just wanted to share that with the board.
Thanks, Bill. All right, so last up we have the ComCom update.
I received an email from Keegan. She was not able to attend tonight, but there is no update for the Communications Committee, but they do look forward to partnering with the Long-Term Planning Committee and supporting that work over the next 6 months.
Great. All right, thanks, Bill. So we do not have financials to approve, so we're moving on, and I do not believe we have any need for executive session.
We do not. A very efficient meeting tonight, sir.
And everybody else, appreciate it.
Are you looking for one final motion?
Go ahead, Kent. Yep, the one that you love.
I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor say aye. I know you can't see me, but my 2 thumbs are up.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, see y'all. Thank you.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.